Ladies, good morning. Let's pour ourselves a cup of fragrant coffee, get comfortable, and have a heart-to-heart talk. This is Amanda Brown, and today I want to share something very personal with you, something that changed my perspective on life after 60. We're going to talk about lies. About that insidious lie about aging that has been whispered to us since childhood, a lie that many of us, including myself, have believed for almost our entire lives. I grew up watching my mother. She was a wonderful woman, kind and caring, but after she turned 55, something in her just faded. I remember how her vibrant dresses were replaced by shapeless beige cardigans. Her laughter grew quieter, and her world seemed to shrink to the size of our small house in the suburbs of Chicago. She would often say, "Oh, honey, I'm too old for that. Too old to dance, too old to travel, too old to learn something new." She believed her best years were behind her, that her role in life was reduced to quietly and invisibly living out her days, not causing trouble for anyone. She believed the lie that aging is synonymous with fading and invisibility, and I, watching her, believed it too. I thought that after a certain age, women were supposed to step into the shadows, make way for the young, and stop dreaming and desiring. I built my life subconsciously preparing for this quiet finale. But when I turned 60 myself, I looked in the mirror and saw the same fire in my eyes that I had at 30. I felt the same thirst for life, the same curiosity. And I asked myself, who the hell wrote this script, and why should I have to follow it? Today, you and I are going to pick apart the 10 biggest and most harmful myths about aging that poison our golden years. This will be an honest, sometimes uncomfortable, but absolutely necessary conversation. We'll talk about how society, and even we ourselves, box ourselves into frameworks that prevent us from being happy. And I promise you, the last lie on this list is the most insidious and the most important. Once you recognize it, your life can change beyond recognition. If you're ready to throw off the weight of others' expectations and start truly living, stay with me. This conversation could be the beginning of your new, most vibrant chapter. Lie number 1. You become invisible with age. Oh, how many times have I heard this? From friends, from magazines, even from my own daughter, who once said, "Mom, maybe you shouldn't wear such a bright dress at your age." At my age, as if age is a disease and one of its symptoms is the need to blend in with the wallpaper. We are convinced that after a certain point, men stop noticing us, young people ignore us, and we turn into gray, inconspicuous old ladies whose only purpose is to give up a seat on the bus. For a while, I fell into this trap myself. I remember going into my favorite Starbucks, which was always full of young, energetic people. I stood in line, and it felt like the barista was looking right through me, that people were walking around me as if I were an empty space. I ordered my latte, sat at a corner table, and felt a wave of sadness wash over me. This is it, I thought. I've become invisible. But then I started to observe. I began to look at other women my age, and I saw 2 types. Some, like me in that moment, sat hunched over, dressed in nondescript colors, avoiding eye contact. They truly were invisible. But there were others, women who walked in with their heads held high, with smiles that lit up their eyes. They weren't loud or trying to attract attention, but they emanated such a powerful aura of confidence that it was impossible not to notice them. And I realized invisibility is not a consequence of age. It's a consequence of our own decision to hide. We become invisible when we start believing this lie, when we stop paying attention to our posture, when our wardrobe becomes a collection of shapeless gray items, when we stop smiling at strangers for fear of being misunderstood. What did I do? I started small. I straightened my back. A simple action, but it changes everything. When you stand tall with your shoulders back, you physically take up more space and your internal state changes. You feel more confident. Then I revisited my wardrobe. I didn't start chasing youth trends, heaven forbid, but I found my style. I discovered that a perfectly tailored blazer instantly gives an outfit structure and elegance, even over a simple t-shirt. I found my signature color, a deep emerald green. When I wear it, I feel like I'm glowing, and people notice. And most importantly, I started smiling again. Not in a fawning way, but warmly and openly. To the cashier at the grocery store, to my neighbor, to a young mom with a stroller. And you know what? People started smiling back. That so-called invisibility vanished. Because real attractiveness, ladies, isn't about smooth skin. It's about the energy you radiate. It's confidence, kindness, and the light in your eyes. And those things only get brighter with age, if we let them shine. Line number 2. Your best years are behind you. This myth is perhaps the most toxic. We are led to believe that life is a mountain we climb, reaching the summit somewhere around 40, and then it's a slow, sad descent. Career is over, children are grown, passion has faded. All that's left is to sit and wistfully remember the good old days. What a load of baloney. My friend Susan from Ohio believed this lie. When she retired from her job as a school teacher, she fell into a deep depression. "It's all over, Amanda," she'd tell me on the phone. "No one needs me anymore. My purpose in life is gone." For the first 6 months, she spent her days in pajamas, rewatching old TV shows and complaining of boredom. Her world had shrunk to the 4 walls of her house. One day, I couldn't take it anymore. I drove over to her place unannounced. She answered the door, disheveled, with dull eyes. I took her by the hand and said, "Susan, honey, your life isn't over. Only one chapter of it has ended. You spent 40 years giving yourself to others. Now you finally have time for yourself. What have you always wanted to do but never had the time for?" She thought about it, and she remembered that in college she had dreamed of doing ceramics. But then came family, work, obligations. We went that very day and signed her up for a class at the local community center. At first, she felt awkward, being the oldest in the group. But then she touched the clay, and her hands remembered what her mind had forgotten. Today, Susan is a successful artisan. She sells her vases and plates on Etsy and at local fairs. She has new friends, new goals. She says, I thought retirement was the finish line. It turns out it's the starting line of the most exciting race of my life. Ladies, please understand, the best years aren't a specific age. It's a state of mind. It's the time when you feel alive, needed, and passionate. And that time can come at 70 or 80 if you refuse to believe the lie about the sunset of your life. Stop telling yourself, "I'm too old for this." Replace it with, "I didn't have time for this before, but now, why not?" Learn a new language, take up gardening, write your memoirs, start volunteering. Your brain is still capable of learning, and your heart is still capable of finding joy in new things. Your best years aren't behind you. They are right here, right now, waiting for you to stop looking at the past and start living them. Lie number 3. You have to accept declining energy and illness. That old song about the aches and pains of aging. We're taught that after 60, we're doomed to constant pain, chronic fatigue, poor memory, and a bouquet of illnesses. The doctor at the clinic waves off your complaints. What do you expect? It's your age. And we start to believe it. We blame everything on age, the morning stiffness, a forgotten name, being out of breath after climbing the stairs. We stop fighting, thinking it's inevitable. This is a lie. Yes, our bodies change, but change doesn't have to mean fall apart. Smart women after 60 understand that their health is their most important investment and their responsibility. They stop ignoring their body's whispers and start listening to it. I went through this myself. There was a period when I'd wake up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. I blamed my age, but then I started to analyze. I realized my fatigue was directly linked to what I was eating. My healthy breakfast of sugary yogurt with granola and a glass of orange juice was causing a massive blood sugar spike, followed by an equally sharp crash, leaving me drained by lunchtime. I cut out sugar and processed carbs and switched to a breakfast rich in protein and healthy fats, eggs, avocado, a handful of nuts. And like a miracle, my energy returned. The same goes for movement. My knees hurt, I can't walk, many complain, but often it's the lack of movement that makes joints even stiffer. Movement is like lubrication for our bodies. Regular walking, especially at a brisk pace, doesn't just strengthen leg muscles. It improves circulation, supports heart health, and even increases the size of the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for memory. Strong legs are the foundation of longevity and independence. Don't resign yourself to decline. Your body is not your enemy. It's your ally if you learn to cooperate with it. Listen to its signals. Pain, fatigue, brain fog, these aren't just old age. They're a cry for help. Feed it real food, vegetables, greens, healthy fats, quality protein, and drink water. Dehydration is one of the main causes of fatigue in older adults. Move every day. It doesn't have to be a marathon. Walking, swimming, tai chi, even simple chair exercises. It all makes a difference. Get enough sleep. Quality sleep is when your body repairs itself. Don't sacrifice it for late-night TV shows. Your health is in your hands far more than you've been led to believe. Don't let lazy doctors or social stereotypes write you off. Fight for your energy and well-being. You deserve it. Lie number 4. You should act and dress respectably and age appropriately. What does age-appropriate even mean? Usually, it implies boring, gray, and invisible. We're convinced that after a certain age, bright colors, modern cuts, and bold accessories are not for us anymore. We're supposed to wear shapeless cardigans, comfortable but ugly orthopedic shoes, and forget about jeans, blazers, and anything that might flatter our figure. My friend Eleanor from Texas has always been a woman of impeccable taste. But after 65, her daughter started dropping gentle hints. Mom, maybe those pants are a little too tight. Isn't that scarf a bit too bright? And Eleanor started to doubt herself. She began buying clothes from the senior ladies section. Blouses with tacky floral prints, baggy elastic waist pants. And with each purchase, she lost a piece of herself. She'd look in the mirror and see not an elegant woman, but a tired grandma. One day she told me, Amanda, I feel like I'm wearing someone else's clothes. I'm hiding in these shapeless sacks like they're a tent from Walmart. Coughs. I told her, honey, then take off the tent. Your style is a part of your personality. Don't let anyone, not even your loving daughter, take that away from you. A smart woman after 60 rejects this lie. She understands that elegance has no expiration date and that good taste is not a privilege of the young. She stops chasing trends, but she also doesn't slide into the drab uniform for the elderly. She finds her fit. She knows that well-fitting clothes, the ones that skim the body, always look better than baggy ones. It could be a blazer that defines the waist or an A-line dress that flows gracefully. She isn't afraid of color. She understands that pale, washed-out tones can make her look tired, while rich, deep colors, emerald, sapphire, ruby, make her skin glow. She values details. Instead of piling on cheap, flashy jewelry, she chooses 1 or 2 quality pieces, a delicate pendant, a string of pearls, stylish earrings. She knows that updated eyeglass frames can instantly freshen up her face, and she never forgets a good handbag and shoes. Even a simple pair of white sneakers can make an outfit look modern and youthful. Ladies, your style is your voice. Don't let age force you to speak in a whisper. Dress in a way that makes you feel like yourself, confident, beautiful, and full of life. And if someone tells you you're too old for that, just smile and reply, and you apparently are too young to understand what style is. Lie number 5. Your home should be a museum of memories and clutter. Our homes are fortresses built from the bricks of our lives. And over time, they risk turning into warehouses of the past. We keep old furniture because it was mom's. We don't throw away piles of children's drawings, even though our kids are now parents themselves. We keep dresses in the closet that we'll never fit into again, just in case. We stuff our closets and garages with things we don't use, but feel it's a shame to throw away. This habit of clinging to the material traces of the past is a trap. It creates not only physical clutter, but mental clutter as well. Every time we open a stuffed closet, we subconsciously feel the weight of these unused items, these unfinished tasks. Our home ceases to be a place for living today and becomes a museum of yesterday's life. I realized this when I was helping my sister move. She had lived in the same house for 40 years. When we started sorting through her things, it was like an archaeological dig. We found 3 broken toasters, maybe we'll fix them, boxes of 10-year-old magazines, there are interesting articles in there, and a complete set of china she never used because it was too good for every day. As she sorted through it all, she cried, not from nostalgia, but from the realization of how much dead energy had accumulated in her home. I've spent my whole life organizing this, moving it, dusting it, she said. For what? After 60, a smart woman understands. To let lightness into your life, you first have to make space for it. She conducts an audit of her home and her life. She gets rid of someday. The clothes she'll wear someday. The dishes for guests who'll come someday. The hobby supplies she'll use someday. If someday hasn't arrived in the last couple of years, it probably never will. She keeps the essence, not the container. She understands that the memory of a loved one lives in her heart, not in their old sweater. She can photograph cherished items and then give away, donate, or sell the items themselves. She chooses simplicity. Fewer things mean less cleaning, less stress, fewer decisions. She recognizes that her home should serve her, not the other way around. Ladies, your home is your sanctuary. It should give you energy, not drain it. Let go of the past you can touch. Keep only the things that bring you joy and are useful today. You'll be surprised how much easier it is to breathe, not just in your home, but in your soul. Ladies, we're halfway there. Let's take a breath. We've just debunked 5 major deceptions that hold us back. The lie of invisibility, that our best years are over, the inevitability of illness, the need to dress age appropriately, and that our homes must be filled with clutter. Each of these ideas is a brick in the wall we build around ourselves. But as you can see, these bricks can and should be dismantled. We still have 5 more equally insidious myths ahead. They concern our relationships, our role in the family, our sexuality, and most importantly, our relationship with ourselves. These topics are even more personal and profound, so take another sip of coffee and square your shoulders. The most interesting part is just beginning. Lie number 6. Love and intimacy are for the young. Here we are at the most delicate topic. Society stubbornly pretends that after a certain age, especially for women, libido just switches off like a light bulb. The subtle message is, that's it, sweetie, your ship has sailed. Your joy now comes from grandchildren and knitting. Movies, advertisements, even conversations among friends. Everything creates the impression that passion, romance, and yes, sex are the territory of those under 40. This is a brazen, harmful lie. Yes, our bodies change. Menopause brings adjustments. There might be dryness. Energy levels might shift. But the desire to be loved, to be desired, the need for closeness, for tenderness, for pleasure, these things are ageless. Moreover, intimacy after 60 can be even better than it was in our youth. Why? Because a huge amount of the stress and insecurity that used to plague us is gone. The fear is gone. We're no longer afraid of unplanned pregnancies. We know our bodies better. The pressure is gone. We no longer have to prove anything to anyone. We're not worried about performance or how we look in our partner's eyes. We can simply relax and be ourselves. Depth arrives. Intimacy becomes less about acrobatics and more about true connection, about trust, tenderness, and a deep understanding of one another. I know women who found the love of their lives at 70. I know couples who say their sex life at 65 is more vibrant and meaningful than it was at 30. The key is not to be ashamed of your desires and not to let anyone, not society, not even your own partner, convince you that at our age it's not necessary anymore. What if there are physical challenges? Talk. Discuss with your partner what feels good and what doesn't. Use lubricants. There's nothing shameful about it. It's simply taking care of your own comfort. Find new forms of intimacy. Sometimes hugs, kisses, and gentle touches can be more important and pleasurable than the act itself. And one more thing that's rarely spoken about. Pleasure doesn't always require a partner. Taking care of your own body, exploring it, that's also part of a healthy life at any age. It helps relieve stress, improve sleep, and boost circulation. Ladies, your femininity and sexuality haven't evaporated. They've just grown wiser. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty or inappropriate for still being a living, feeling woman. Lie number 7. Your main role is to be grandma on call. When we have grandchildren, it's as if the world goes crazy. Everyone around us, our children, society, even ourselves, starts to believe that our primary and sole function is now to be a free nanny, cook, and chauffeur for the next generation. You're retired. You have plenty of time, our children say, asking us to watch the little one for just a couple of hours, which turns into an entire day. And we agree, out of love, out of a sense of duty, out of fear of seeming like a bad grandmother. We cancel our plans, ignore our fatigue, and shoulder the role of grandma on duty. And gradually, it stops being help and becomes an obligation. We lose our own lives, dissolving into the lives of our children. Don't get me wrong, I adore my grandchildren. There's nothing better than their hugs and laughter. But a smart woman after 60 understands the difference between helping and being exploited. She refuses to be a victim and establishes healthy boundaries. My friend, that same Susan from Ohio, nearly drove herself to exhaustion. Her daughter took it for granted that her mom would pick up the kids from school every day, drive them to activities, and cook them dinner. Susan did it silently, and in the evenings she would cry from exhaustion. One day she simply said, "Honey, I love the grandkids, but I can't do this every single day anymore. Let's agree. I'll help you on Tuesdays and Thursdays. The other days I have my own things to do." Her daughter was offended at first, but then, seeing that her mom wouldn't back down, she accepted the new rules. And you know what? Their relationship only got better. Her daughter started to appreciate her mom's help more, and Susan stopped feeling used. Ladies, your time is your own. You are not obligated to sacrifice your interests, health, and peace of mind for the convenience of your adult children. Learn to say no without guilt. A polite but firm, "Unfortunately, I can't this time," is perfectly okay. Offer alternatives. I can't watch the kids all weekend, but I'd love to take them to the park for 3 hours on Saturday. Don't wait to be asked. Take the initiative, but on your own terms. I'm free on Wednesday afternoon. Want me to pick up the little ones? You are a grandmother, not a service provider. Your role is to give love, wisdom, and joy, not to be a 24/7 emergency service. You have your own life, your own hobbies, your own friends. And that's not selfishness. It's self-respect. Lie number 8. You should move in with your children or into a nursing home. As soon as we reach a certain age and perhaps find ourselves alone, society and family start pushing us toward what they see as the only 2 viable options, either move in with the kids or head to a nursing home. Mom, it'll be dangerous for you to be alone in that big house, our children say, when what they're really thinking about is their own peace of mind. You need company and care, say the glossy brochures for retirement homes. The idea that an older person cannot or should not live alone in their own home is another harmful lie. It robs us of our independence and our right to choose. Of course, for some, moving in with family is a wonderful option, but only if it's based on mutual desire and clear agreements about boundaries, finances, and personal space. Otherwise, it can turn into a nightmare for everyone. And a nursing home? For some, it's a salvation from loneliness and domestic chores. But for many, it's a loss of control over their life, a loss of their familiar routine and surroundings. A smart woman after 60 knows she has many more options. She doesn't have to choose between 2 evils. She can create her own perfect arrangement. Aging in place. This is the most popular choice. With a few modifications, grab bars in the bathroom, good lighting, removing slippery rugs, one's own home can be made perfectly safe. You can hire a helper for a few hours a week or use grocery delivery services. Co-housing. This is a growing trend in the U.S. Several older friends buy or rent a large house together. Each has their own bedroom and bathroom, but they share a living room and kitchen. This solves the problem of loneliness, reduces expenses, and creates a built-in support system. Granny flat. This is a small, separate cottage on the children's property. You live close by, but not under the same roof, maintaining both proximity and independence. Home sharing. You can rent a room in your house to a young student in exchange for help around the house, or simply for company. Ladies, your home is your fortress. Don't let anyone evict you from it until you yourself want to leave. Explore all the options. Talk to friends. Do your research. Your independence is your treasure. Protect it. Lie number 9. You must save every penny for a rainy day. We were raised in a culture of frugality. Save for a rainy day, our parents told us, and it was wise advice. We worked, we saved, we built a financial safety net. But now we're retired. That rainy day, in the form of job loss, has already happened. Yet the habit of scrimping on everything remains. We deny ourselves small pleasures. We don't buy the pretty blouse because where would I wear it? We don't go to a cafe with a friend because it's too expensive. We don't take a vacation because we have to save. We live as if we're preparing for some perpetual scarcity, even if there's a decent sum in the bank account. This is a mental trap. After 60, a smart woman understands that money is not the goal, but a tool for obtaining joy and comfort. She stops being a slave to saving and becomes the master of her finances. She knows her real situation. She doesn't just vaguely fear that there won't be enough money. She sits down with a financial advisor and takes an honest look at her savings, pension, Social Security, and expenses. It often turns out that there's more money than she thought. She invests in experiences, not things. She understands that the memories of a trip to Italy or a theater visit with her granddaughter are far more valuable than another set of dishes that will gather dust in a cabinet. She allows herself small pleasures. She knows that a cup of good coffee in a cozy cafe, a bouquet of fresh flowers on the table, or a quality hand cream aren't extravagances, but acts of self-care that improve her quality of life. Of course, this doesn't mean you should thoughtlessly spend all your savings. Sensible planning is essential, but the habit of denying yourself everything out of fear of the future is a lie that robs you of the joy of the present. You didn't work your whole life just to sit on a pile of money in your old age, afraid to spend an extra dollar. You worked to live, so live. Buy those shoes. Order that piece of cake. Go to the beach. You've earned it. Line number 10. Respect comes automatically with age. And here is the final, most subtle lie. We were taught, respect your elders. And as we become elders, we subconsciously expect respect to come automatically with our AARP card. We think our age itself entitles us to special treatment, to be listened to be considered, and to be deferred to. But the world has changed. Today, respect isn't given out for years of service. It has to be earned every single day. And unfortunately, I see many older people who don't understand this. They act as if everyone owes them something. They criticize young people. Back in my day, they are intolerant of other opinions. They complain, demand attention, and ultimately evoke not respect, but irritation and pity. I once made this mistake myself. I was at a cafe, and the young waitress was taking a long time to get to my table. I started getting angry. When she finally came over, I scolded her. I've been sitting here for 20 minutes. Is there no respect for older people anymore? The girl turned pale and mumbled an apology, and I felt ashamed. I realized I had used my age as a weapon, as a way to feel right and important. From that day on, I learned the most important lesson. If you want to be respected, start by respecting others. A smart woman after 60 rejects the role of the crabby old woman and becomes a person who is respected not for her age, but for her character. She listens more than she talks. She doesn't impose her advice, but asks questions. She shows genuine interest in the lives of others, including young people. She doesn't complain. She doesn't turn every conversation into a list of her ailments and problems. She shares joy, not just sorrow. She is open to new things. She isn't afraid of technology and doesn't criticize everything modern. She is willing to learn and to admit that the world doesn't stand still. She is kind and generous, not with money, but with her time, a smile, a wise word. She is the kind of person in whose presence others feel better. Ladies, respect is not what the world owes you. It is what you give to the world through your behavior. And when you live with dignity, kindness, and an open heart, respect comes on its own, not as a tribute to your age, but as a recognition of your beautiful soul. So, there we have it, my dears. We've debunked the 10 biggest myths about aging, the lies that we become invisible and useless, that our health is doomed, and that the joys of life are in the past. The lies that we must hide in boring clothes, live in cluttered homes, and give up on love. The lies that our only role is to be convenient for others, and that respect will come automatically. Each of these myths is an invisible cage that prevents us from spreading our wings. But now that you can see the bars of this cage, you can start to break them. You can choose visibility over invisibility, growth over decay, style over drabness, joy over fear, and earned respect over entitlement. Remember my mother? She lived the rest of her life believing these lies, and I know she missed out on so much joy. I don't want you to repeat her path. I want you to create your own. A path where age is not a sentence, but a privilege. The privilege of being wise, free, and finally, truly yourself. This chapter of your life is not the epilogue. It is the climax, and you are the protagonist of this incredible story. Live it boldly, vibrantly, and with your head held high. If this video resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and share it with a friend who might need to hear this. This was Amanda Brown. Take care of yourselves and each other. You deserve it. See you soon.